Mine goes up.
Does it use that lever?
Yeah.
It's okay. No, I'll just sit down here and you can look at the top of my head.
Sorry, you're not bald.
We can get you.
Crazy, aren't you? We have extra ones upstairs. We'll get it fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wait, why are we doing the 3-4? That's just left over from last week, right? Or last one?
Oh, 35A, yeah, we can vote on that one. And then 1311U is,
Okay, this is
no
all,
action on that one.
this is everything the state sent me. So, this is everything the state.
I'm sorry. Was number 4 just on here accidentally?
No, it's for discussion, but we didn't do any of the noticing properly, so the neighbors haven't been noticed, there's no public hearing.
Right.
So we need to
So
go
are
through
they
that
here to
process.
discuss it?
So there, my recommendation, just let them present. and
Yeah.
Start thinking about it, and then at the next
Okay.
meeting, it should be.
Yeah, for sure. I thought we weren't even gonna put this one on the agenda.
Isn't this one the one over a gooseberry this time?
Which one?
I don't know, but we need to do a public hearing for that one, and we didn't notice it. Okay, well, I'm in a short seat, so if you can see the top of my head, it's because,
Alan, you're not short.
I'm not sure, but the seat is short.
You can stand up.
I could, yeah. All right, let's see, we on time here? We got another minute. People a second. So, according to,
Computer's always right.
according to Microsoft, we got 30 seconds.
Your phone's off, no, rather.
Gotta change her.
Well, it's good to see everybody here. We got a full house. You feeling better?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. What was the,
Surgery,
oh, jeez,
head surgery.
head surgery.
What else you got me?
Were they putting in or taking out?
Yeah, really.
No, they're taking stuff out.
She's got too many brains. They gotta,
No, that's not right. I'll be able to hear though, so I will be the last one to talk.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, it's 6 o'clock straight up, so I'd like to call this meeting of the Planning Commission for September 1st, 2021 to order. Before we do the roll call, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. We all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any, as far as you know, do we have anybody online, Ben? Or John? Sorry.
No one so far.
Okay, all right, good. Let's see, who else here? Who wanna-
Lee Fraley here.
Janet Prentice.
Alan Angel here,
When's Jorgensen here?
Richard Fisher here. Okay, full house, nice, welcome everybody. Based on the agenda for today, does anybody have any conflicts they want to announce?
No.
None, all right. Good, and I don't think we have any minutes to approve, right? They didn't get done from last, okay. All right, we're gonna work diligently on getting our minutes from the previous meeting at the next meeting as we move forward, so we have them in front of us, but that's a work in progress. So let's start with, we have no public hearings today, so we're just gonna do some discussion. I'll, since we have a relatively small house today, I'd like to ask everybody that's here from the public to not talk, since we're not doing a hearing, unless you're asked to speak. And we'll get through this agenda pretty quickly. So we have a plat application for lot AV 1-3-5-211 that we're gonna have a discussion about. And I think, Dale, were you gonna give us some staff notes on that one?
Yeah, I sent everybody an email earlier. I apologize, it was later this afternoon. It was, so you may not have had a chance to see it before you came in. The primary issue with this is that JEC has concerns about is the water development of water line for this property. So this applicant is partnering with additional landowners in the area to develop and bring water lines to this part of the city, which is south of Highway 59 and Main Street. They are working on a current design for a water system that would bring, I'm going to say 3.5 to 4 miles worth of water lines to their ground as a joint venture. So they'll be venturing with other landowners in the area. So that was our biggest hurdle with this.
Is it just lines? There's no storage involved here, right?
Yeah, there'll be storage.
There'll be
involved.
storage.
Should engineering require it, and I would assume that it does once we get the water model completed, because there's simply no storage out there to service them with.
Okay.
They do have, they have approved the liquid, I want to use the word liquid water shares because we've been getting water shares that are just certificates and dry holes and type things. So they've been able to work through that and continue on. So you're all familiar with the Bain Brothers project. Yeah, I said that right. So they're a joint mission with that application as well as an additional landowner to develop those water lines. So they'll be able to bring water. That was our biggest issue.
Okay.
Packed sewer will be developed on site as reclaimed packaging plant, which is the future that the town is taking the direction. And met with the Southwest Health a couple of times in the last month. They are not just encouraging, they're extremely encouraging us to move away from septic tanks and move into packaging.
Yeah, I don't know if you, I talked about this last meeting. I spoke with them as well, and they're, if we get nitrates in our water, we're toast.
Yeah,
So we gotta get,
So those are the big issues that we're working on.
Part of storage, they're gonna
Sorry,
partner,
what?
I'll start storage on water. They're gonna partner with like the Jepson thing, the 1 million gallon tank, is that the game plan?
Unless the Jepsons don't perform, because the Jepsons are not as far as Jepson Canyon. I keep Jepson,
Correct.
not the cartoons, but, oh, that was a Jetson, sorry. Let's tell you how old I am. The Jepson Canyon project is not as far advanced along as they are, so they are under the understanding that should they get there, when they may have to build that storage itself.
And then the Jepson will pay back if they have.
There'll be a joint share cost agreement with them, that they'll get some reimbursements out of
So
it.
one way or the other, we're hoping to get a 1 million gallon storage tank before any of these other projects take place.
Not hoping we
Or
will,
will.
or we won't be able to move forward with the project.
Okay, perfect.
So that'll cover water, power, and sewer.
so is there anything for us to look at here today? Is this just?
You have your application, no?
Okay,
You have your application.
all right.
So based on that, what's staff's recommendation then?
That's the recommendation that this move forward. They have met the requirements for utilities for their project.
Okay.
There is still some question about UDOT and the interchange up there that Richard and I actually met with UDOT on a couple different issues. And we have a site meeting with Jepson Canyon on the 20th of September to address their interchange. We will be looking at that interchange as well. It appears that everything's in line for it. We just want to confirm that.
How many lots are in this project?
I'd have to go look. I think it was about 300. That's a commercial.
And it looks to me, just at a glance, that this all fits our new tourist commercial,
We did have to make, you do have to make an adjustment with that half-mile setback that you're addressing, but other than that, it fits in the general direction of that.
well, now, our discussion later is gonna be about adjusting just on that particular stretch of highway, it's almost like north and south on 59, but not on Main Street, we wanted to keep that a mile. And then this looks to me like it's gonna
Nice.
handle that.
They redid this really nice.
Yeah, looks
That
good.
looks really
Yeah.
good.
Am I reading this right, that does this go down about a mile then?
Yeah, it goes all the way to the end of this one. I'm sure it will pick up on the other piece that we're discussing
Okay.
next.
And they've got more than 500 feet, it looks like.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah, it looks good. Okay,
Yeah, I like that.
so Are they needing approval then for today? And then should,
They're hoping for
is
that.
your recommendation then that we provide that with the,
We make no recommendation. We make a suggestion to you, just a verification that they have met and they're at their utility demands for their project. So we suggest that you move forward with it.
okay, all right. So I would recommend if anybody wants to make a motion to recommend approval of this, that we,
Before you do that, if I could interject one more final, I apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
You know, we are going to do a restructure of sorts of our, by creating our building department and joint utilities that everybody's, still not fully up to speed on. The main thing that we require at the JUC, what we're trying to do is to ensure that they can perform on their project with their utilities, and that we can perform, that we can perform to the request. So when they come in, we look real hard at whether or not this is a viable project. We want to vet that out at that level so that we don't waste your time in here and have you guys have to go solve the problems of the world. If they don't have water, if they don't have sewer, if they don't have power available to them, then we're not going to advance it to you
and what is
until they
this,
resolve those issues.
what is town staff, what's the plan to, it's one thing for people to make commitments verbally, it's a whole other thing for there to be documentation about that. So what's the plan for documenting this particular agreement, for example? Is this
So-
documented somewhere that we can look at?
In the past, we've gone through this process trying to get to a development agreement and record it to development agreement. What we're trying to change the process and redirect the process to is to recognize that final plat is where we actually get our teeth into these projects and get these folks committed to a point to where, pardon my analogy, but I like to say I want them pregnant enough where they can't walk away. We want them to ensure that they can't walk away from the project and abandon the project. We do that through bonding, which this town has not done a lot of because we haven't had a lot of projects that require bonding. So the direction the staff wants to see this go is to create a final plat and absence of development agreement, replace that with bonding performancing so that we can guarantee these projects go through. They'll have to comply with those before they're able to get a notice to proceed letter to move forward. Notice to proceed letter is something you may not be familiar with either. Is everybody familiar with that? We haven't issued a lot in this town. I went back through the records. I only found 3
Yeah.
notice to proceed letters. So it's basically in lieu of a permit to build. So once they go through their final plat approval, the preliminary come back to you, and then they'll work with their final plat, which is their final profiles. Then they'll get a notice to proceed letter from the town once they verify that the water has been transferred, the bonding has been placed, and all public right of ways have been dedicated over to the town. That's another issue we lack is we don't own a lot of the streets out there. They are privately owned, or they're owned by the BLM, Georgia Road South of Highway 59. That's another thing that we have to pick up through this process. They make sure that they're given their road dedication plats, which accompanies their final plat.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So just so we're clear, it sounds to me like any approval we make here is to a preliminary plat.
Correct.
And we'll be able to verify that these T's are crossed before they final.
Correct.
So, I mean, it looks,
On actual right now, are we only doing the approval for the zone change or are we doing?
You already done the zone.
No, we
this is
did.
preliminary
Okay.
plat.
Oh, that's right. We did the zone change last time.
Right. Preliminary plat and I apologize if I'm being redundant and saying stuff that you're very educated and already know, but our preliminary plat is to basically identify the concept of the project without the actual engineering construction drawings. So that the applicant knows he has an approved or she has an approved project, and then they can spend their $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 engineering cost to bring back the final plat. So we're trying to make sure we're very clear on that process with the applicants. Because these are large projects that come into town that haven't historically been here.
well, I love seeing these hotel projects here. I think, the town's locally underrepresented with commercial.
And that's one thing we encourage you to really look at, and when you come in when you start looking at final plat, you start looking at building permits. I'm kind of new to your game, so if I say something again that you guys are already aware of, it's been suggested to me by multiple people that the town, as residents, have been trying to go more towards landscape type hotels as opposed to the 3-4 story type hotels. I don't know if that canvas is true or not, but they are adamantly, they're currently, I should say, in negotiations with a Holiday Inn Express type hotel to go in up there. We have begun visiting with that group. So that's going to be something you're going to look at in the future.
We can only do 3-story hotels here due to the fire department.
That's correct.
I thought
I was-
2-story.
30 feet, right?
That'd be
32.
great.
So we can do 3
Yeah,
stories.
you can do 3 stories, you can do sub levels. So I just want to encourage and remind you that the feedback that the staff gets and the mayor's office gets is that the residents of the town may want to be more towards landscape type hotels instead of big box units. And I don't know where this fits. Just want to put that on your radar that you're going to be asked to look at that for sure.
Well, to me, tax revenue is tax revenue, at least at some point. You know, we need that. We got tourists coming through here every day. And we're
Let's
not.
get
we're
some
not
of that money.
capping on there.
Let's get some of that money.
That's-
Is the Holiday Inn, do they do anything like the landscape type hotels, which, you know, people,
I don't know that. You'd have to ask it.
No, they've got their turnkey programs, I'm sure.
And I don't know.
they have about 40 different buildings that they go with.
Yeah. Okay, what do you guys think? Thank you. Anybody have any?
Nice to see something done and get the revenue. It's nice to see some utilities and structure going in on that end of town, because there isn't.
Yeah, and it looks to me like any of the, is it accurate to say based on this that there aren't any, there's no egress onto 59, it's all up Main Street, is that right?
That's correct.
And that's how UDOT wants it. They want to use all the access that we put in there, which is that new S curve on 59. They don't want any
Oh,
other
that's
access.
nice.
That's good.
Well, it does a lot of work.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay, anybody want to tackle a motion on this one? If you are, say your name. Do we have somebody doing minutes that's not in the room? Is that what's going on?
We just go back after.
Oh, you do.
to finalize.
So make sure you say your name if you make a motion so that we can identify who you are on the recording.
This is Jan Apprentice. I make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat for lot AB -1-3-5-211 and send it to town council for
Second. All right, any more discussion on that? That was Lee. Yeah, thank you, Lee, for saying that. Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
approval.
Any opposed? All right. That motion carries. Great, good.
Sounds like a pleasure. Any opposed?
Now, there's been some confusion on our item number 2 here. I understood that we had the necessary general plan hearing, but we just simply didn't put an action item on the agenda for last meeting. So can you bring us up to, can staff bring us up to speed as to why we're having discussion with no action on this one?
For the general plan
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah, I mean, as I understand it, we would only need to not take action if we needed to do a hearing, but we did that at the last meeting. We just simply didn't have an agenda that allowed us to take action.
So if I'm reading this right, the discussion and action is to modify the general plan only to move the tourist commercial up half a mile.
Right.
I don't think that was ever, that specific part was ever had a public hearing.
No, but we ran that exact conversation by the attorney and he said it was legit to do.
Right.
this.
We did.
So I didn't,
We have,
I'm curious as to why the switch up.
We had the discussion, so now.
There's no blame here. I'm just,
So-
I'd like to do this if we can without pushing it. another-
So there's two questions. The first is the rezone application, which you did have a public hearing for.
Right, and we had a public hearing for the general plan discussion for that exact.
And you're only modifying the general plan on that specific piece of property, that's it?
Well, it's property that, it's not, yeah, basically, because that piece of property covers the same area,
That's in that area.
covers the same exact area. No, we didn't identify it as a separate,
I can see what you're saying, because those are noticed. The public hearing to change your plan was noticed on the only two properties that this affects. Okay.
Right.
and that's the only place they were changing.
I'm good with that. That makes sense.
all right, so we're gonna X out the words no, with no action on this, this item here. And again, we had the hearing, so we simply wanted to, what happened last week. Richard, why don't you go ahead and share that with everybody? So that's,
Sorry.
no, that's okay, because I was just about to say why we got.
I was not
so,
here.
Okay, so basically, right now, in the general plan, it says that we want our commercial to go down 59, well, a mile and a half to 2 miles east and west, and then also down Main. Problem is when we met with the UDOT on the roads department and everything, they want us to limit how many roads we attach to 59. They want to keep the speeds a little bit higher. They want to keep the safety a big issue. So as the town grows in the future, they want to talk to us about underpasses or overpass, in the future, but they only want to try us or ask us to try to keep 5 main access points. So because of that, we don't want commercial blinding 59. and have all this-
We go 2 mile stretch on 59,
Every
you
1,000
put
feet is going to be.
hotels, you're gonna be turning into, it'll be a bottleneck.
And their exact termination or terminology was, we don't want to see Hurricane up here. We don't want our main state highway and have everybody coming along,
Right.
dropping speed limit for 30 miles an hour on the state highway.
Yeah.
So,
And the people in Bubbling Wells and past that way, they don't want that.
exactly. So we're going to limit on 59, but not Main Street.
But not me.
Correct.
Yeah, Maine's gonna stay.
Exactly. So we're just limiting 59, so it has to access off Main.
Okay.
So what we did last time was we had the discussion about this general map. We wanted to take action to recommend that the town council amend the tourist commercial ordinance just on 59 to go from a mile in each direction to half mile in each direction, but we didn't have an agenda item, so we put it on this.
Let me add one element to that we're also planning is by
This is Dale Meadow
consolidating,
talking here.
sorry, Dale Meadow. By consolidating all the current driveways that dump into Highway 59, the goal is to take all those highways and pull them back into frontage roads and minimize the number of access points to Highway 59. So this commercial area you're talking about would not be permitted to access 59. It must be accessing Main Street via frontage roads. And that's what the current general master transportation plan that we're reviving will indicate.
Now, wait a second, if we had frontage roads, then what's to prevent us from keeping that a mile?
Nothing. You can keep it, you just can't have access to Highway 59.
Because you could turn off, you could have the frontage road start, connect in at Main Street, go either direction, and that solves the problem.
Well, with the way Main Street runs at an angle, or excuse me, 59 runs at an angle, and the way these roads run.
Well, you know what, we've already just approved this preliminary plat, so there goes that, because
Yeah,
that's not on here.
so let's just focus on Main Street
Yeah.
right now and leave 59 out of it,
All right, well, I'd love to have the town council tackle that, have a discussion about, there's an ordinance that got approved, I think it was.
Pass that off on us, you can do it.
Well, you guys approved this ordinance, you weren't there, but it happened in May, I think, last year. I think Janet, you brought this first commercial idea to the planning commission, which is a great idea to concentrate our tourist commercial activities into one place. Ironically, we exempted from the list of things that you could put there, grocery store, which is why we weren't able to put a grocery store within a mile. At our last meeting, for some reason, that's not tourist, I guess, but it's on the list, so that could be looked at too.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, maybe rather than make a recommendation that we limit to a half mile in either direction, maybe we just simply need to have this relooked at as potential development along that short commercial space comes in front of us. We I don't know, I'm second
We
guessing.
do
myself.
we do want to limit it to a mile.
Well, it's already.
It's already there, yeah.
But the question is, do we wanna look at future projects? Well, we just.
Well, so let's just leave it how we got it. This is the reason why, it's this other guy's piece that we're talking about right now. He just did this chunk for us by this is what we're using.
Right.
He has this other one that's coming this way, that's right here. And he's gonna do some commercial along our main street. And we
Right.
tell him he has to have that mile, that's gonna take up 2/3 of this other chunk of property he has, because it touches the road. And then he's gonna be all sorts of like, hey, you just screwed my.
Yeah, that's true. That's why we did it.
Yeah,
That's another
so
reason.
Let's,
Okay.
let's just leave it as it is.
So, yeah, that's right. I remember that. And that also then begs the question is, yeah, that's why when you raise the issue, well, we can't have to turn it off.
Exactly,
Okay. Well, there's no frontage road there now.
right. We shouldn't make.
At least on the
Right there.
south, or whatever you call it, southwest side of 59. But we could put frontage on the north side, I guess.
Well, it doesn't, you can call it a frontage, but it doesn't have to be 100 feet off the road. It can be a
No,
road.
it could literally
that's
be right.
a half a mile
Yeah,
and it connects over to a point that connects over. I mean, it can be connecting roads, not necessarily a frontage road. The point is, though, with UDOT, we're trying to limit the access to 59.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna have to find another road that connects and we get our 5 main access points. That's what UDOT's goal is.
Correct. And let me clarify, there are no frontage roads planned on the south side where these projects go.
right.
It is only for the north side access.
And it's only up, right now, currently, it's only up here by the pivot or something. Right?
Okay, so we could nuance this a little bit. We could recommend that we limit to a half a mile in either direction on the south side, but keep it a mile in the direction on the north side. Because that's all of the space right now. You could easily put frontage road in there for a mile in either direction. You could turn right off of 59 on the main, get on your frontage, go either direction, your hotels or your restaurants or whatever on the north side. There's no projects in the woods right now we're not messing with, right?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't
we're-
know.
no.
The one thing I didn't like about limiting it to a mile is it limits the amount of towards commercial.
Well, right now, we got quite a bit that can go up and down Main Street. So we got a mile up and down Main
Yeah,
Street.
but we got
both
one
ways.
project here that's taking up a big chunk of it already. So,
And there's quite a bit of stuff he's got just in this one piece.
right.
So if you add that to this other side, we're.
But I'd
doing the
love
same
to
thing in
see,
the north.
I like the idea of it being a nice 4 mile grid. If we limit it on the south side, but don't limit it on the north side for a mile, I think that accomplishes what we're doing. As long as we insist that there be a frontage road to connect to the main.
Don't limit it on the north side,
Yeah,
that side.
but keep it at a mile.
Oh, okay, good, yes.
And you don't have to, Alan, I'm sorry, you don't have to add the verbiage of as long as they have a frontage road. It's just, because they have to adhere to the master transportation plan.
Sure, yeah.
Which we're going-
Well, I just think, it'd be nice if that were written into the ordinance so that it's clear. If somebody looks at tourist commercial ordinance, they can know, I can't just have a turn off, right? We're not having applicants come in, just to make it clear. Absolutely.
Might make a recommendation here. That, I think the purpose of general plan, because it's so big picture, is to cause this discussion. And now that you're having a discussion, you're thinking about it, I don't know that you need to figure out how exactly to change the general plan. You can just take it as input, have the discussion, then zone it whatever way you find appropriate.
Yeah.
So if you want the discussion to be had,
Our recommendation is less in this particular case about whether or not we change the general plan. It's more about changing that ordinance.
Correct, exactly.
Because the way the ordinance reads, it says it's a mile in all 4 directions.
So we just need to change it so that it doesn't include the south side.
Which means we're gonna have to, because we wrote this wrong.
so the ordinance designates a certain general plan map, right? That's your general plan designation, that's what the ordinance does. And if you want to keep having these discussions for a mile in every direction, you can just leave it as it is, and it will continue to bring up these discussions. And then case by case, you can look at zoning and say, okay, does that make sense in our zoning? Is this something that makes sense considering earlier we wanted to designate this as towards commercial? It doesn't
Well,
have to.
what I'm trying to prevent is somebody coming to us, 3/4 of a mile from Main Street in either direction with an application that we're gonna deny from the south side. I just don't want to, I don't want to.
Well, like Alan's saying.
The way the ordinance reads now, it says a mile. We could nuance that. We could change
This is
that,
the
like,
thing.
what, have another. agenda.
Somebody may come up and say, hey, look, you just approved this down here, and he didn't put his for a full mile, but now you're telling me I have to do mine. You said this to him and now me, and now there's gonna be an argument, so we do need to make it clear that we only want it on the south side, not the north, or we're just gonna say we're gonna leave it as we already asked for it last time. I mean, either way, but we need to do something, so we can't say, you told this guy this, now you're telling me this.
So I think we need to do a couple things. We're gonna need to have on our next meeting's agenda, a recommendation to change the ordinance. Right now, we'd like to recommend that we change the general plan just on the south side, to limit it to a half mile direction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That just makes it really clear. And then the next, what we didn't do this time was put an agenda item to discuss changing the ordinance itself. The ordinance created a tourist commercial zone, not just a general plan.
Right.
I know.
Taxes.
Right, but it doesn't zone anything towards commercial.
No, that's true, you're right.
So it created the parameters for you to know,
Just creates the possibility for it.
Yeah.
and then it does designate a certain area in the general plan. And the general plan is just again, this discussion.
I understand, but what too often happens is, and right now, the general plan is practically useless anyway, as far as it relates to the public. I mean, anybody can't go on the general plan on our website now and count on it being accurate. That's gotta get fixed. And so what I don't want to do is create more confusion by showing a mile in either direction. So we could tackle these both the next time. Well, no, maybe we don't need to. If by changing the general plan, that forces the ordinance to be worded, then we don't have to have a second agenda, right?
It depends on if you're talking about on a different piece of property. So if we haven't already done a public hearing on anywhere besides those two lots. So if you're talking about changing the general plan designation anywhere besides those two lots, we should probably go through a noticing and another public hearing. That makes sense. Like I hear north of SR 59, if anything's happening north of SR 59 or anywhere off those two pieces of property.
Well, it already
Well,
says
we're
that.
not changing it. That's the thing.
It already says
We're
more.
not changing it.
Okay, if you're not changing anything other than those two pieces of property, then.
We're just changing it a half mile in the direction on the south side.
And when we had that discussion and that public hearing last time, so we could just amend it to the half mile and be done with it right now on the south side. Just strictly say south side of 59.
Okay, that sounds like you're making a motion.
Actually, Alan, we're.
Let's see.
Yeah, you just gotta nuance the language to say south side. And
Right.
by south side, we mean not the north. I mean, it's not, it's technically it's southwest and,
Just say south southwest
yeah.
Right, or,
to accommodate the
Southwest.
parcel.
well, it'll be, okay, so it's gonna be the south southwest and south south.
The Arizona side. How about that?
Okay, so I,
What about California side?
Richard Fisher,
Make a motion.
make a motion, sorry, we have a moment. Make a motion that we recommend to the town council that we make amendments to or change the general plan. Of course, the tourist commercial extend only half a mile from Main Street in either direction, south of SR 59 or southwest or southeast, depending on the side of Main Street we're on, instead of 1 mile. That work?
Did you get that? That sound
One more time, slowly. So, you can-
You can play it back at half speed. Don't play it back at speed. Could anybody have a second for that?
I'll second.
All right, Lee Fraser seconds. Any further discussion on that? All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That motion carries. Nice work. I like how you all think.
We gotta start talking in circles with this, right?
Way to talk through it. I like it. Okay, so the last time we were here, we didn't approve the other parcel for this. And we were gonna have another discussion about that after we made this, recommendation to the town council.
And I think the reason why is because we have all pretty much residential.
And he had it all residential.
Where's our new plot for that one?
Do we have a new one for that, or did you get something
Yeah,
back?
We don't membership yet.
We're receiving.
No, well, yeah, I don't see anything.
Okay, well, I think absent that, then I think we're gonna table this one. I'd love to see a new, I know we all agreed in spirit of what we needed to do. And I think the applicant was amenable to that, but absent seeing something, I think let's table it and look at it.
Yeah, I want to see it again. That was really.
Yeah,
And I think you did mention, yeah, that you wanted to see it before.
we did. He suggested he might be able to do that, but this meeting, you know, the last one wasn't very hard. though, so.
Yeah, he had a design like this last time, when we didn't have a commercial, it was supposed to be done that way, so he agreed they were gonna have a commercial, then get back to us. And that's what
Yeah, he had residences right up on the road.
All right, right up against Main Street.
Yeah, he just didn't.
So they're just gonna change it.
I mean, and it's not surprising, you know, when I dug out that tourist commercial ordinance, it wasn't easy for me to find, and I knew it existed. I can't imagine how an applicant would ever come across it, so, again, another thing our little town needs is some upgrade to the degree to which you can find your marching orders.
Well, if you type it in and search, when Marty was mayor, he had whoever it was, come and take all the ordinance and make them into the website, but you can actually search. If you put in like keywords, it will.
Yeah, but you gotta know, that's the problem is you gotta know, I mean, who would even know?
Well, maybe you should know.
But if you didn't know that in May of 2020, an ordinance got passed, you never know that that's where commercials on the.
All you have to do is type in tourist commercial.
My point is.
It hasn't been updated.
Oh, that one hasn't for tourist commercial? Oh,
It's in the minutes, so that's where I.
so it's in, okay, so it's not on that. Okay.
It's not, yeah, it's not, I've got 5 years in this. I've been searching. Thank
That's it?
You got-
Okay,
you got
so
way
we have
more
another application. We don't have a public hearing on the books for, but are you here to, yeah, you want to fill us in on your application? We can talk about it, get it up to speed, and then we'll have to have another meeting about it, because a zone application requires a public hearing, and we can get this notice.
Let me clarify why. So Mr. Wilson has been beating on our door for months, trying to get through this, but there's still some questions about, and I apologize again, you get emails, you get time to read it, but there's still some questions that we want you to work through as to what is the end use of the project. He has an idea for some gardening and things that he wants to do that I elected to put it on the agenda so that he can come in and explain to you what he wants to do, because I can't. And make sure that we get the full vision out there. He's very passionate about what he's doing. And I'll stretch the word excitement. He's way beyond excited about what he's doing.
Great,
But
I'm excited to see what you want to, can you?
Sure, I mean, I don't stand up.
Well, I guess we can see on camera, so tell us your name and walk us through what your plans are and.
So I have my name is David Wilson. I have that right 10 acres off of Purple Sage. Directly off of Purple Sage. That goes from Purple Sage all the way to Foot Hill. Or close to Foot Hill, like 200 feet from Foot Hill. And it's that whole square section. Right now it's when we purchased it, it was zoned for half-acre lots, and so 15 homes on that 10 acres.
Any chance you could pull that up? We should take a quick look at what. Just put it in context for everybody.
It's in your paperwork.
It was a zone commercial, but
Yeah, I don't want to see
they
it.
had a block breakdown for 15, I think it was 15 approved half-acre lots or lots that they were, had already gotten surveyed. And which would bring a lot of traffic back there, a lot of dust, a lot of mess for people, since probably it's not gonna be paid anytime soon. So, my wife and I would like to build, we like to build a state garden. And a state garden, what a state garden is, if you've ever been to an arboretum,
Right.
hundreds of trees, it's very beautiful. We like to do things
One of
like
the
that.
Geo got washed though.
And,
We pull up the partial of the map.
this one is gonna be an interesting one. This is,
Roscoe got rid of it.
this one is gonna be an Israeli style garden. Very, quite beautiful, a lot of exotic Mediterranean type trees and plants. And, of course, we're gonna have vegetables and flowers in there too. We plan on doing some different types of tulip gardens and some herbal gardens. Also the vegetable garden, small vegetable garden and stuff. We do want to be able to apply to the, since we do everything organic, and we love to do everything, we've only ever done everything organic. We would like to be one of the suppliers for future restaurants and small shops that are out here. We also do those corn things where you grow different types of popcorn, 5 different varieties of popcorn, you grow colored popcorns, and you bundle them together, and you get some of the good shops and that kind of stuff. But real down to earth, midtown, modern looking garden estate where it's supplying produce to locals and makes them available. And we plan on doing like a text thing where all the locals can know, we have carrots already this
Sure, yeah.
season. We send out
Thought
a
about
text to
doing
all
like
their
a-
text list and they come by and pick up their carrots.
Thanks, John.
What do they call those things? My brother used to do one. It's like a co-op sort of thing. Your people buy shares and they go to get a certain.
We weren't planning on doing the share ones.
Okay.
We weren't planning on doing the share kind of things. Share crop, because it's only 10 acres. It's not a large one. But we did want the ability, we don't like to waste stuff. And historically, we've given a lot of stuff away. We get tens of thousands of pounds of apples, that kind of stuff, because we have apples. But this, we wanted to really make it something that was community-based, where the community knows that they have this alternative source of food that's locally grown, and they can see it, they can look at it and watch things growing. And something else is that it would just, we believe it would make the community look and feel better, because just having gardens, when I think of a typical farm, I think of like, you got some cows out there and it's just abandoned stuff. And
It's
basically
called a
it's-
ranch, a farm.
Yeah, kind of a ranch thing. It's not like that. This is where we master plan every square foot of this thing, just to make it beautiful, where we know where troops are gonna go. We know where, the onions fields are gonna be.
Sure.
And,
Do you have water out there?
yeah, we have water.
Yeah.
And how many acres?
This garden is 10 acres, almost exactly. 10.1.
So why RE10 instead of ag?
Rural estate 10, we figured that we could do, eventually, if we want to, and my father might move out here.
Okay.
And if my father moves out here, I'm gonna need to give him my house, which is the adjacent property next to the 10 acres. Or I'm gonna build my house there.
Gotcha.
So it would allow that, but it doesn't prohibit, the R10 wouldn't prohibit doing the other stuff.
Sure. That's
We don't really wanna, the house is not focused, because we already have we bought the adjacent property too.
Just so you know, you can still build a house on that.
You can, yeah.
So,
So
I didn't know if there was any, my understanding of RE10 was a type of agriculture.
Yeah, you might want to look into both of those, get a good understanding of both and see.
garden sounds awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
That'd be real.
I think it's gonna be gorgeous.
Go right here and buy some fresh vegetables.
Yeah, and we don't do things like, we don't think like normal people that do stuff to make money, like, you have to plan this and how much money is it gonna make me. It's a whole different kind of thinking. We plant it because, well, these are the right trees to plant, and down the line, they'll make us money.
Okay.
But right now, they're gonna look gorgeous here. That kind, it's a different kind of philosophy where the whole feel of the place, this is a holy garden. This is something very
And
special.
do you expect it to be a tourist attraction of some kind, or is
I
it just
don't-
for your own?
I would expect it's gonna catch your eyes because you're gonna, no matter what. I mean, we drive like up north and you see the flower fields.
Yeah.
In California, as well,
Sure.
a lot larger. They capture your eyes, so it probably will draw people to turn their heads to see what in the world is
But you're
going
not
on.
gonna
But
let the
yeah,
public
it's-
just kinda-
no, it's not like a
It's not
public
a-
gathering place.
Okay. Not a public-
He's gardening like I'm gardening. And So we're on the same path.
It's, and this is, it's, I'm a tree guy. I love trees, all kinds, many kinds. And fruit trees are.
I'm a vegetable person. I'm back to eating garden.
So,
So
so trees drink a lot of water. What's your, how are you gonna,
I have one.
okay.
So, and this is where the JC has some questions for the planning commission we'd like to look into. Because there's, the applicant does have adequate water. The delivery of that is still need to be determined and how we're gonna do that. He has every right to bank those water shares and pull them from the system just like everybody else does. But there is gonna be some optical challenges that you're pulling potable drinking water out of a residential water line to water treat in your garden. And which he's entitled to do, she's entitled to do, we all do that. My wife has a garden. But when it's a garden of this scale, it's gonna have some optics and we need to work through that and make sure that we address that. The second part of it is the fact that you're distributing your vegetables. Where do you cross the line to become a commercial unit versus a homegrown unit or a market pack program? So we still have some issues to work out there.
Is it currently greenbelt now?
It's currently residential.
Half-acre lots.
Other half-acre lots out there. So, I mean, basically by converting like this, we definitely alleviate a boatload of dust. That our neighbors were having.
Not only.
And because you figure that's gonna be three cars per household. In reality, 15 households. We're not building up 45 cars we'll be using. And that's.
Well, look at this too. So the average household's gonna use 20,000 gallons a month. If you have, 15 houses that you just eliminated, there's 300,000 gallons a month that is not being used for residents that can go towards your garden. So
Which she only uses, according to calculations, a fraction of that. So water impact is minimized.
I think it's
At
correct.
the end
What's
of
the
the day,
current
water-
zone?
water
It says
is-
single
water is a
family residential.
different
What
issue.
are the lot limitations right now on that? Half acre.
yeah, I'd rather see this.
Yeah.
We need to really. This is what,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
it, everybody.
Well, we'll definitely have a public hearing about it. I'm sure you'll hear,
I think it's gonna be.
Well, and the
We'll get some
water, the
people
water is not such. an
vehemently
issue.
against, so
And
just prepare yourself.
GQ and
There's town-
DQ state certified, so I'm a state certified water expert.
Oh, cool.
So I actually understand water at a level that's pretty intense. I mean, from the water wars of this country, I know this country and water. And I understand the water restrictions on here, which is mostly self-inflicted by the state, just to let you know.
Yeah.
The water aquifers down here are substantial, they're some of the biggest aquifers in the world. But the access to those is, I mean, because people just don't like to drill wells, and that has to do with the fact that we do not invite in the modern well machines, which go down 1,000 feet and maybe during the day or 2 days. We have a special turbine. But water won't be an issue. We plan on having our own independent system for that, 8-inch system, steel hull, 100-foot casing, specially contained, sealed up and down to make sure that it eliminates any kind of, even somebody breaking in and trying to contaminate people.
Gotcha.
It's a vault. It's a really self-contained garden drip feed system, because we know that I did the tests on this soil for the last year, and it just needs to be drip feed fed because of the nature of the types of soils we have out here. They're not as bad as south here, but and very fertile, but very hard to keep moisture where you want it. So you have to do the drip feed. But again, that's all.
What do? You put grass clippings down or something?
No, we do the Garden of Eden, first we raised worms for 5 years. And we use grass, we use pine needles, tree trimmings. And then we go and get pine needles. And we use $90 for the water a month, 3 greenhouses, and we garden quarter acre.
Yeah. Now in Israel, of course, we grow salt.
So I've been
So
to
we-
Israel,
pretty-
I've seen their garden.
Awesome about taking
Yeah.
next to nothing worth of water and making just gorgeous.
It sounds beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the beautiful. I think this is going to be one of the best.
Well, let's get this adequately noticed for a public hearing on it. In terms of, what's the general plan say for this? Not that we can count on it being accurate, but.
The bottom 20, right, you see below mine, the bottom 20, you guys allocated at party can.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm just curious what the zone, what the the general plan is often different than what's being turned, so.
And one thing, when you think about general plans, some things that some other cities have failed to do, now they have to go back and change is they general plan a whole big old area and you've got all this residential and all this other stuff, and then people want to come into community gardens like this, and then they, or something to this effect, and they have to come back and go through a big old hassle to get rid of some junky houses to build a nice little community garden. We ought to think about this ahead of time, like right now.
And we have the top lot there, the top lot's on the left, so that swing up is ours too. So, and then we own everything to the street, which means that we don't have to interrupt any existing residential.
Right.
So and the, the space is open, and I think the people will enjoy the view. And also the trees, we anticipate that the trees, it's interesting, we're seeing a lot of, experimental societies like Phoenix, Arizona, where they did the, they did all of the water conservation plays, tree plantings and stuff. They created their own deserts. So when they do that, those are novices. The people in Phoenix are novices when it comes to proper city management with agricultural farming. They're planting water conservative trees, which is the worst thing you can do because you'll create a drought. You actually have to create shade-bearing trees. Shade-bearing trees promote growth. You don't even need to water the fields out here. You can get grass in the fields out here, supplying no water at all, just by the shade. I did a test out here, and it was amazing to see how much grass grows.
Just
No
like
water,
something
just shade.
yeah.
Just so the
One big dome over all that.
the other thing I noticed is that the heat tends to travel from the south to the from the north to the south frequently in that area, which is going to be great for the residents that are on the east side of us, because that means that, and of course, we're not raising a pig farm like some people suspect.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any smell there.
Right.
Not allowed.
But it will actually cool the temperatures
Oh, that'd
in
be
that
awesome.
direction, which is
Alan, it's currently zoned on our general plan as residential 1 acre.
1 acre, okay.
But we was granted half-acre lots.
Yeah, well then, we'll have to have a discussion. So let's have general plan discussion and a zone change discussion. Let's get that on the agenda.
I do have this, and I think
If you leave it as the applicant submitted it and leave it as already, and you would not have to just general plan. Because Paul,
No, because it's already 10 though.
but it's residential, so you're increasing of a lot size, that's the no-go.
But I do some digging into the pros and cons of ag, and have you talked to anybody at the county about
The thing with your
the
ag,
tax?
I'm not having a lot of, I guess it's because things are busy right now. People are really busy. It's very hard to actually talk to somebody.
Yeah, if you can get a meeting with the county, let's see, who does that, the assessor.
county assessor.
So
Actually,
you're suggesting agriculture.
If we zone it ag, and it sounds like pretty much what you're gonna do on here is almost all fit what we sort of in quotes call green belt.
Right, exactly.
And your taxes would be 100 of what it would be if it was zoned
If
residential.
if you got that ag, your taxes
So
will
you
be
could
$20
drop
a
your
year.
property taxes down to, the one
Are
change
there
in
any
your pocket.
differences in
Yeah,
So
what they
what
do
I'm
is,
talking about is exactly.
so what the county does is they look at, we had that at we have 15 acres, and we build a custom home and we landscape around our house. And that's taxed through the roof. Everything else around it, we got horse property and whatnot, as long as you've got fencing, or if you're growing something that you're selling, that's considered agriculture, they tax it. And
And then if I build a house
If
later,
you
for my
build a house,
father, I can just designate that.
they'll literally pull up a geo map and figure out exactly how many square feet or acres your house, and the part that's not ag, and they'll exempt that out from where that'll be taxed as a residential. The rest of it is, it'll save you thousands.
Now, I do plan on building a barn. I talked to Dale about that. Actually, it won't look varnish. Everything I
You
build
can do that
will
with
be-
ag.
But I want to tie it into my house that I built on the other property, so it just looks like big. But because I need something for the equipment, and that can be done.
Yeah, you can do that you can do one residence and how many buildings are allowed to put on ag? we should know this, but I think you'd be fine. I would dig into that and definitely talk to the county about.
Yeah.
And as soon as you build a house, the county automatically starts with 1 acre and makes that your residence, and then they leave the rest ag unless your residence takes up more than an acre, but they automatically start with 1 acre.
So what is the advantage of RE10?
For you,
Nothing. Based on everything you just said,
I would definitely go ag.
I don't see any reason why.
There's no advantage.
I think you'd want to do
RE10.
it.
What's that?
There's no advantage.
The R is RE10 not rural estate then?
It is.
Rural estate.
It is real estate, but
So
it's more
you'd be
geared
better
towards
off
the
with
private
ag.
residence. without the-
If somebody wanted to- There'd be no advantage to them tax wise if they weren't gonna either fence it in and use it for, you literally have to have fences and livestock, or you have to grow something that you're selling. Those are as far as I understand, those are the two
Well,
ways.
RE10.
No, for Greenbelt.
To get green
Oh,
belt
yeah,
ag.
yeah, I understand.
And so since
So if you're not gonna do either of those, then RE10's, you might as well.
But since you're going with road garden and all the stuff, I would definitely save the money on the
Oh, yeah.
taxes. I mean,
You'll save-
that's a no-brainer.
Okay, and the RE10, and the county has both, right? Here the.
Well, our town has both, so you'd wanna look at our ordinances.
He's asking the county, can the county assessor give you a value difference?
Not a value.
I think in order- You can ask them, but I think in order for it to be in Greenbelt, it has to be agriculture.
Correct, it has to be.
That's
Yeah, I
its own
understand
ag.
I understand the tax saving benefits, for sure, I do get that. That I'm aware of, and that's substantial.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be any, it doesn't sound like there's any other disadvantages to actually farming. Actually.
No.
Right.
Other than you're in an existing residential community that would probably have opposition.
Well, they might limit what I farm, they wouldn't want me
Not a
to.
limit of what you farm, it's the fact that you are a farm with that residential community.
Yeah,
What's this,
problem-
the
what's this
problem
1311
with that
B
is
next to it, do you
because
know?
it may be a generation above you that decides to farm it.
It's R110.
And not be what you're gonna be. So
Oh, I see, so what their concern might be is if I sold this piece of property
you
that's
sold
not ag,
it, somebody could come in and actually farm.
and put something that the community would want, and that might be losing.
Yeah.
Then, I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to the RE10, is there any disadvantages to the RE10?
Other than the county taxes, no, not that I can think of. Based on what you're gonna do, it's a matter of.
Well, they're already taxed, they've been taxing it residential now.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
right, your taxes wouldn't go up, but they'd go down.
The 1/8, yeah.
They wouldn't, when you go RE10, they wouldn't just do it for the 1 acre, you have a building that's 1 lot, they'll do the whole thing on RE10. On ag, it's different, they'll only do the 1 acre for ag, and let you have the rest of it.
Why don't you take Alan's suggestion
Yeah.
between now and next meeting, go meet the assessor and make
Yeah,
sure,
have that
Okay.
make sure that's the zone you
And the
want.
next meeting is the what?
A month.
It's just the first Wednesday of every month.
That's the city council.
So, yeah, that'll be the next planning.
Planning.
So we have to have another planning, since we didn't, because a zone change requires a public hearing, and in order to do a public hearing, we need 10 days notice.
Okay.
So that all your neighbors can come here and scream at you, that they don't want you to do this.
Well, and I sent out those, I gave you those forms.
We don't know those until we're ready, but.
Okay,
Yeah, we didn't have time to get it. to the
That's
public
okay.
hearing.
We had time, we elected not to.
Okay.
Are you also recommending the applicant that they put in a general plan amendment to match whatever it is that they're asking to rezone it to? So after you decide what you're rezoning it to, you also need to put in a general plan.
Unless it's staying rural,
If you go agriculture, you have to.
but I don't think we have to change the general plan if we're going from half acre to 10 acre. But if we're going the other way,
Yeah, it's still.
that's what he's going bigger.
Still residential.
so the fees that I paid already. That still applies.
Absolutely.
Oh,
We're not giving you
if
the
you
money
switch it
back.
to ag, we're not gonna, yeah,
We're not giving you the money back.
Well,
no, but we're not gonna charge you another fee to change
Did
RE
they
to
charge
an
you,
AD.
do I have to like take this back and have them change it at the, that was expensive. I'm just checking.
Cross it out and leave white out.
Well, okay, so that sounds great. So I'll plan on being here and they said the first
First Wednesday,
Wednesday
so whatever,
of
what's that
month.
date?
And
Everybody have it?
I'll do my research on the county.
Oh, and you know what, I'm not.
October 6th.
County says it all.
County
I
session.
told this, yeah, I told
You guys are doing that without me, I'll be
And do the, well, the county as far as what we do with, where that goes with the taxes.
This tax.
And as far as what I can actually do, the description, I need to show them.
They can give you, yeah, and when I.
You have that on the website here though?
Yeah, go on the town website, and you can look up ag versus RH10, and look at what's allowed in each zone.
Yeah.
And make up your mind.
Because in reality, it's my wife's last name.
Okay.
I'm just here, why, whatever she
You may
wants.
find, you may find the
You
annual.
hear that,
tax
Richard? Wise man.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is exciting. We'll talk about it again, at least the four of these folks next month. I will be in town for that.
Okay.
But you get to carry
So I'm
on.
excited to bring it here. I think it's gonna be something that. I knew it
Well,
would
it
reduce,
sounds
I knew it would reduce the dust, and I knew that for that sake, everybody. knows.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're, all we need now is a final motion, and we are,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
that's Lee,
I second.
that's Janet. Those in favor say aye. Adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, John, you get back here? You get back here from a walk up.
No, I don't need anything.
So you're out of town next month?
Yeah, I'm